Okay, so somebody has been planning their wedding like it's a classified government operation. Watermarked invitations, NDAs for guests, fake locations leaked on purpose. I'm not joking. This is Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding, and by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly why this might be the most locked-down celebrity event of the decade, and what the wild misdirection plan actually looked like behind the scenes. Because here's the thing nobody's talking about. This isn't just famous people being private. This is a full operation, with multiple layers, multiple decoys, and enough paper trail to make an actual intelligence analyst nod in approval. And once you see how it actually played out, you will never look at celebrity weddings the same way again. When you're arguably the most famous woman on the planet marrying one of the most recognizable athletes in the NFL, a normal wedding just isn't possible. Think about it. Every other celebrity wedding deals with paparazzi drones and a few leaked photos. This one had law enforcement briefings. Reports indicate NYPD officers were briefed about a potential flood of fans, paparazzi, and onlookers around the venue. That's not keep it private. That's crowd control on the level of a stadium event, the kind of planning you'd expect for a presidential visit, not a wedding reception. But here's where things get interesting. The couple didn't just hide details, they reportedly built in deliberate misdirection, almost like running a counterintelligence campaign against their own fan base. And once you start mapping the timeline out, it really does start to look like a coordinated operation, rather than a couple just trying to keep a low profile. For weeks, fans were locked onto a theory that the wedding would happen on June 13th at Ocean House, a luxury hotel in Watch Hill, Rhode Island, practically next door to Swift's own mansion. The date lined up. The number 13 is famously Swift's lucky number, woven through her music and career for over a decade. The whole internet built a timeline around it, with fan accounts tracking flight patterns, hotel bookings, and even florist deliveries in the area. Except it wasn't true. The venue's own wedding planner had to publicly deny it on Instagram, confirming Swift wasn't her bride that weekend. Now, was this an intentional decoy or just fans connecting dots that didn't actually connect? Nobody's confirmed it was planted on purpose, but the effect was the same. Attention got pulled toward Rhode Island, while the real plans were forming somewhere else entirely, and the actual venue stayed shielded for weeks longer than it otherwise would have. And this is where most people make a mistake when they think about celebrity privacy. They assume it's about avoiding cameras. It's actually about controlling the narrative before it controls you, buying time, and making sure the real story doesn't break until the couple is ready for it too. That's a fundamentally different mindset than just hiding, and it's worth sitting with for a second. So if not Rhode Island, then where? All signs eventually pointed toward Madison Square Garden in Manhattan. Reports say the couples essentially rented out the arena for several days. One for setup, one for the event itself, one for breakdown, at a reported cost north of $3 million. For context, that's enough money to buy a house in most American cities just to rent a building for a long weekend. Think about that for a second. Madison Square Garden hosts the Knicks. It hosts world tours from some of the biggest names in music. And for one weekend, it might have hosted a wedding celebration instead. A city permit was filed by an event company known for planning weddings, closing off the streets around the venue from July 2nd through the 4th. Law enforcement sources confirmed that filing to multiple news outlets. Amtrak police stationed underneath the arena at Penn Station were reportedly told to expect a Swift wedding around the 4th of July weekend. Now this next part might surprise you. Even with all that evidence, nobody officially confirmed the actual ceremony itself was happening there. Some reports suggest the real vows could have taken place somewhere far more private, with MSG hosting the larger celebration afterward instead of the wedding itself. In other words, the arena everyone's been staking out might just be the after party, while the actual I do moment happened somewhere nobody's even guessed yet. And the scale of this thing keeps climbing. A source with knowledge of the situation told reporters that more than 1,100 people were expected at the festivities. That's not a wedding. That's a small concert tour stop. When you're talking about over 1,000 invited guests, you're not just managing privacy anymore. You're managing logistics on the level of a major public event, while somehow still trying to keep the whole thing under wraps. That tension is honestly the most fascinating part of this entire story. How do you keep something secret when over 1,000 people know exactly where and when it's happening? The answer, apparently, is layers of legal protection stacked on top of each other. Here's where the secrecy plan gets genuinely next level. Guests reportedly received save-the-date invitations bundled with a non-disclosure agreement. You read that right. To even RSVP, guests allegedly had to agree not to leak details, sign their name to it, and send it back before anyone could confirm their seat. If you've ever been to a wedding, you know the deal. Open bar, dance floor, somebody's drunk cousin filming everything on their phone. Now imagine being told before you even confirm you're attending that legally, you can't post a single photo. That's the kind of control usually reserved for product launches or movie premieres, not weddings. It tells you this wasn't planned by a typical wedding coordinator. This was planned by a team thinking about leaks the way a studio thinks about a leaked script before opening weekend. But the NDA wasn't even the final layer. According to reports, every individual invitation was watermarked with each guest's name repeated throughout the document. So if a photo of that invite ever surfaced online, it could be traced directly back to whoever leaked it, no guesswork required. Reports indicate invitations started going out in early spring, with many guests receiving theirs around April, giving the team months to track who had what. This is genuinely the kind of move you'd expect from a film studio protecting a script before release, not a wedding planner. And it tells you something important. This wasn't about avoiding embarrassment. This was about controlling a story worth potentially millions in media value before anyone else got to tell it first. Every single guest essentially became a tracked asset the moment they opened that envelope. Even with all the secrecy, some clues were nearly impossible to hide. Multiple Kansas City Chiefs players reportedly booked hotel rooms in Manhattan for the exact same weekend at a hotel close to the Garden. When you've got a chunk of an entire NFL roster checking into the same city block on the same dates, that's not subtle. That's basically a billboard. And this is the irony of trying to keep something this big a secret. The bigger the operation, the more footprints it leaves. Permits get filed, hotels get booked, police get briefed, wedding planners get hired. Every single piece of that puzzle becomes a clue for anyone paying attention. And in this case, plenty of people were paying very close attention, from amateur Swiftie sleuths to national news outlets. Here's a small detail that actually says a lot. According to comments from NFL tight end George Kittle, the couple reportedly enforced a strict no-gifts policy. No registry, nothing. When you think about it, that fits the whole pattern here. This isn't a couple trying to gain anything from this event, financially, publicly, or otherwise. Every choice, from the decoy date to the NDAs to the no-gift rule, points toward one goal: protecting something deeply personal from becoming yet another public commodity, even down to the smallest details that most couples never even think twice about. So why go to these lengths? Because at this level of fame, there is no such thing as a normal wedding. Drones can fly, reporters can dig through permits. Fans can theorize using numerology and flight trackers. The only way to actually protect a private moment is to build layers around it. False leads, legal contracts, traceable documents, and venues big enough to control the chaos instead of running from it. It's honestly kind of fascinating when you step back. This wedding became a real-time case study in modern celebrity privacy, and whether you're a Swiftie or you've never listened to a single one of her songs, the strategy itself is genuinely impressive from a pure logistics standpoint. Most companies don't run operational security this tight for an actual product launch. Even after everything reported, the venue, the cost, the NDAs, the watermarks, nobody outside that guest list actually knows the full truth of where or when the real ceremony happened. And honestly, that might be the most successful part of the entire plan. In an era where almost nothing stays private, this couple managed to keep the one moment that mattered most exactly where they wanted it, just out of reach, surrounded by noise, decoys, and 1,000 wrong guesses. So here's the takeaway. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce didn't just throw a wedding, they engineered a privacy strategy most security firms would study. And the wildest part is, even with reporters, fans, and police all watching closely, the most important details still slipped right through everyone's fingers. If this gave you the full picture of what really went into protecting this wedding, you're going to want to stick around, because next I'm breaking down the other celebrity events that use the exact same kind of misdirection. And trust me, one of them is even crazier than this. Hit that like button if this kept you hooked, subscribe if you want more of these breakdowns, and I'll see you in the next one.